How many Legos would it take to fill up this entire base? I'm not just looking for the answer, I'm looking for how your mind actually thinks about it. What's the process you went through as you were thinking about this? In the comments, share how your mind thinks about this. If you want to take it a step further, ask your kids the same question. Do you have the same way of solving it? I bet your children might solve it differently than you might. Now let's talk about how some kids might respond to this depending on what grade they're in. If I gave this question to a first grader, many first graders would count all. They would continue building out the blocks just like this, and they would fill up the entire base plate. If I was working with a second grader, they might look at it and say, well, I know there's 4 here, and I want to skip count down, so I'm going to see how many rows of 4 would I have. In this case, they might count 4, 8, 12, 16, and so on. Again, leaning into skip counting. A third grader might take that a step further and think about multiplication. Well, I know I have 4, and 4 times 8 is 32. Or I might get a little bit more advanced, and I might think about, well, I can count all of the studs on the top and all of the studs on the left. And I can count there's 16 studs on top and 16 studs on the left, and I can see how many studs are there in the entire area of the base plate. And then I could figure out how many studs per each brick. 2 times 4 is 8. And I can figure out how many groups of 8 would fit into the full amount of 16 times 16. And if I was in middle school, I might make an equation like this. 16 times 16 is the total area equals the number of bricks I need times 8. Because there's 8 studs in each brick. So how many bricks times 8 equals 16 times 16? And maybe I would then solve that equation. And if I was in algebra class, I might begin to make a model. I can solve it for this size base and this size bricks, but could I solve it for any size base and any size bricks? And they might use what we learned back in middle school to develop upon that. And to do this, I might figure out, okay, what's the area of the base? And that's going to equal the area of the bricks times the number of bricks. And in this case, one way we could think about that is the base times the height of the base. And then I could think about the base times the height of the bricks, because those have a different base. So maybe I could think of like base 1, height 1, base 2 times height 2, meaning of the bricks, times the number of bricks. And maybe I can label that like a capital B. And I could make this model that works for any size base and any size bricks, really leaning into the algebraic ideas. What's the way that you would find the number of bricks